Hi guys, Marvin here from shopsadapage.com, and today I'm finally giving you guys my full review of the Tecware Phantom Elite A7 keys mechanical keyboard. A mechanical keyboard that has a solid build quality and a wide variety of switches available off the shelves. It has all the characteristics of the old Phantom RGB with a subtle but massive upgrade to the board itself. With that said, let's get into it. Alright guys, so right here I have the packaging for the Tecware Phantom Elite 87 keys mechanical keyboard. What I have here is the Gateron yellow version. At the back of the box, we have the specifications right here, and that's about it. So let's see what comes in the package. The first thing you'll notice inside the box is plastic protection, which I always appreciate, keeping dust away if you're not using the keyboard. The keyboard itself is nicely protected by a foam sleeve as you can see here. Let me take out the keyboard for a second. As you can already tell, the cable is unfortunately non-detachable. We'll talk more about that later. Inside the box, you also have a small plastic here with 4 extra switches and a key switch puller. In my opinion, this is very important, especially for a Hotswappable keyboard like this. I mean, it would be non-cost efficient to buy a single or a few switches in case some switches become faulty at some point, right? Imagine having to ship just a couple of them. So having 4 extra switches out of the box is, I think, a huge bonus. The key switch puller is just a standard one, but it should get the job done. Alright guys, let's take a closer look at the Tecware Phantom Elite 87 keys keyboard itself. At first touch, even on my first unboxing of this keyboard a while back, is that the build quality of this keyboard is really good. It does pack a quite hefty weight of around 909 grams, give or take, and there's basically no flex at all on the body. It feels solid overall, which is very nice. It has an alloy backplate with a gunmetal finish that gives it a very stealthy look to it. Right at the top of the arrow keys, we have 2 LED indicators for caps lock and Windows key lock. Overall, in front, the design of this keyboard perfectly matches its name Phantom with a very stealthy look. On the front side, we just have a subtle Phantom branding. And then flipping it on its side, we can see here that the bottom housing is relatively thin with the floating keys design, which means the switches are visible. It also has a small edgy design right here, and the keycaps are OEM profile. Looking at the back, we can see a little bit of the cable routing channels and the glossy part of the bottom housing. And flipping it all over the back, like I said earlier, the cable is unfortunately non-detachable, but at least we have some cable routing channels here at the center and on both sides. But then again, I would still prefer if the cable is detachable so that I can replace it with my own customized cable if I want to. We also have an adjustable stand on both sides with rubber tip, which is good, and then we have some mixed matte and glossy polygonal design right here, and the Phantom model name here and some information like the serial number and certifications. And lastly, we have a keycap puller nicely tucked right here. We also have here at the back 4 rubber feet that should help make this keyboard stay in place alongside its quite hefty weight. Overall, I am really impressed with the build quality of this keyboard, which I think is one of the strong points of this keyboard compared to other 10 keyless keyboards out in the market today. Going back in front, in terms of the layout, this keyboard uses the ANSI standard, which makes it easier to find compatible keycap sets. The fonts are your typical OEM fonts, as you can see here, with some keys having sub-legends for their secondary functions. Right here, we have the legends M1 to M6 for the different lighting effects, which I will show you later. Speaking of keycaps, let's take a closer look at one of them here. Since this keyboard is using the typical OEM set of keycaps, the keycap is made of double-shot ABS plastic, which means there is a separate material for the legend and that it will not fade away over time. However, since it is made of ABS plastic, it will eventually inhibit shine. And since the double-shot molding doesn't span across the entire keycap, it is relatively thin as well, of around 0.8mm thickness. Now when it comes to the switch, what we have here is the Gateron yellow version. So this is linear with an actuation force of 50 grams, which in my opinion a perfect middle ground between the 45 grams red switch and the 60 gram black switch when it comes to linear switches. As with any Gateron switch, this one is super smooth when it comes to its up and down travel. But what's the good thing here is that unlike its predecessor, the old Phantom, which only uses OTEMU hot swap board that is only compatible with OTEMU switches, this new Elite version is using the KL universal socket, which means you can pretty much use any type of switch as long as it is Cherry MX style and is plate mount type. Though you can also use PCB mount type switch, you just have to cut those extra 2 pins. Another thing worth noting here is that this keyboard is available in a wide variety of switches off the shelves. You can get this with Gateron yellow, which is what we have here. You can also get this with the Gateron brown, which is tactile. And most importantly, you can get this with 3 different kill speed switches in the form of the kill speed silver, copper, and bronze. Now, if you haven't watched my kill switch review and teardown, you can check it out here. But essentially, the kill speed silver is linear, the speed copper is tactile, while the speed bronze is clicky, and all of these 3 kill speed switches have reduced travel and actuation distance which is very ideal for gaming. So as you can see, you have everything you need when it comes to switch options. Moving on, like I said earlier with the unboxing, unfortunately the cable is non-detachable, but at least it is braided with Velcro strap and the USB plug is gold plated with a nice silicone cap. We also have some cable routing channels which I appreciate, but then again I would love if this is detachable so that it can be portable and that you can replace the cable if you want to. Now in terms of the stabilizers, I'd say it is pretty decent, especially with the backspace and left and right shift key. The spacebar for the most part is stable with some slight rattle on the left side, at least for the sample I have here. Alright guys, let's check out all the lighting effects of the Tecware Phantom Elite 87 keys. When it comes to the lighting modes, this keyboard has a whopping 18 different lighting effects that you can toggle using the nav cluster. Each key here corresponds to 3 different lighting effects. As usual, let's breeze through all of them here. Aside from the different lighting effects, you can also adjust the speed of the animation by pressing FN plus left or right arrow keys. The 2 LED indicators will flash once you reach the maximum setting. You can also change the direction of the animation by pressing FN plus the minus key. To change the brightness, you just have to press FN plus down or up arrow keys. Now, what I like about the onboard settings here is that you can easily choose a single color by pressing FN plus the equals key. It will show you the full RGB spectrum, after which you can pick your desired color, which I find very convenient rather than cycling through a bunch of colors just to pick one. Aside from that, you can also press FN plus escape to turn on and off the LED illumination. Another use of the function key is to toggle the secondary functions of these layers on top, including the media keys and other shortcuts. Now here's how the illumination looks when the keyboard is in a dim environment. As you can see, the brightness is quite substantial to be used in a dark situation like this. Removing the keycaps reveals that this keyboard is using SMD LEDs or surface-mounted LEDs and that it is a true RGB keyboard allowing up to 16.8 million colors. Now before we move on to the performance of this keyboard, let's do a quick typing test so that you can have an idea how the Gateron yellow switches sounds on this keyboard. Finally, let's talk about the performance of this keyboard. I'd say right off the bat, I am not that impressed with the NKRO capability of this keyboard with only up to 6 key rollover. That means you can only press up to 6 keys at the same time. Now, this may or may not be vital depending on how fast you type or what kind of game you're playing. But still, it bums me out that it doesn't have at least a 10 key rollover like most mechanical keyboards that I've tried before, even at this price range. It's not actually a deal breaker because to be honest, I can't think of many games that require more than 6 keys. Probably Osu and some other similar games. Now, what this keyboard going for its advantage is with the typing experience. In my opinion, the Gateron yellow switch that I have here is a very good switch if you prefer a relatively quiet switch with a decent amount of resistance. If you know me guys, I don't like red switch because of its lightweight characteristics of 45 grams and that I typically make mistakes more often. On the other hand, I am also not a fan of black switch because of its quite heavy actuation requirement of 60 grams. So having a 50 grams linear switch like this is a good balance in between. I can type with this keyboard fast enough with decent accuracy, and I really love Gateron switch's smoothness when it comes to the overall feel. Now for gaming, I also like this Gateron Yellow. I have no issues with it, but if you're really into fast-paced games like CSGO and the like, you may want to consider looking into any of the killer speed switches like the Speed Silver if you want linear, Speed Copper if you want a bit of tactile feedback, and the Speed Bronze if you want that extra clicky feedback. With the speed switches, you will really feel the difference when it comes to responsiveness due to the reduced travel and equation force characteristics of these speed switches. Alright guys, before we finish this review, let's discuss the software. The Tecware Phantom Elite software in my opinion is pretty basic and I'll show you why here. Right here we can adjust the polling rate from 125Hz to 1000Hz, and then here you can restore the keyboard to the default settings. Now the reason why this software is quite basic is because of the fact that you only have these options for customizing an individual key. So you can assign a different key, record macros, and assign different known shortcuts like what you already have using the function rows up top. And that's about it. You can't even assign key combinations, launch a program, and other useful key shortcuts. It's not that I use those, but I think it's worth mentioning for others would do. Now to customize the lighting effects, instead of having a separate tab or window, you need to toggle it here. The good thing is that what you see and do on the software actually takes effect on the keyboard itself, which is nice. So you have all the lighting presets here, and you can adjust the brightness, speed, and direction right inside the software. Aside from that, you can also choose your preferred color from the available color palette here. And lastly, you also have the custom settings. Aside from the available presets like FPS, MMO, MOBA, RTS, you also have the option to essentially set up your own lighting configuration. You also have up to 3 different profiles that you can save to, and that's about it. Overall, the software looks polished enough but a bit lacking when it comes to available features. So to conclude, aside from my minor gripes with this keyboard, the Tecware Phantom Elite 87 keys is still a pretty solid keyboard, especially if you just want a very reliable and solidly built keyboard that is good to go out of the box. It is available in a wide variety of switches available that you can choose from. If you particularly love the old Phantom RGB, then you'll definitely appreciate this new version. It has an upgraded socket board to kill universal socket that is compatible to almost all types of readily available switches out in the market. I just hope that next time Tecware can put more effort into really changing things, that we can clearly see a distinction between the two versions of this keyboard, especially with the design and additional features. But like I said, if you like the design of the old Phantom, then all is good. And there you have it guys, thank you for watching. Make sure to check the full article link below. Huge thanks to Tecware Philippines for sending this in. You can get this from their partner stores, link below as well. Don't forget to join our community Keyboard Addicts page group for more keyboard discussions. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you like this, and see you next time. Have a great day.